What's up, YouTube? This is my first podcast, Jacob Living Good, and I'm going to let my guest introduce himself.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Gabriel from the Neurotic Alpha, host the YouTube channel as well.
All right, so I wanted to have this podcast because I wanted to talk about something that happened in my life that was pretty interesting. I didn't really tell him much of anything, but his perspective on it is going to be very interesting because he is an entrepreneur. He's in the space. He's working on winning and building and growing. And I feel like everyone, no matter what niche they're in, they all have very similar qualities and thought processes along these lines. So what did I tell you exactly about what this conversation was going to ensue of?
You said something amazing had happened. Here, I can go back to the message. I know you were freaking out, and I was like, okay, I get. Now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to get, I don't remember exactly what it is. Because we've had, I'm not going to be able to find that.
Yeah, we've
talked so much since then.
All right, so basically, I do the $1.80 strategy every day for Instagram growth. And because of my niche, because I'm an entrepreneur, I see a lot of motivational content, right? And in seeing that, you know and you read a lot of stuff about how in entrepreneurship, you're going to come to this crossroads where you have a lot of pushback from
I remember now.
Yeah.
The family, your family and shit. Yeah, I remember.
Yep. You come up to this road where you've got a lot of adversity in your face. And I knew I should have prepared for that, but I wouldn't really know how. And so basically what I wanted to talk about was an event where I can basically play out the situation. I work all day, every day, and I cut out 95% of my friends because a lot of my friends were shitters, right? And so I kept this one guy because he's been my best friend for like 7 years. But I know you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Correct. That's an audiobook, but yeah.
Yeah. I knew that this guy, he's a good guy, genuine guy, but he was one of my poor friends. And that's not a bad thing. That's just his mindset. It's how it is. It's how he thinks.
Right.
And that was fine. But he messaged me and he's like, hey, man, do you want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, I haven't taken a day off in like 3 months. I would absolutely love to come over and hang out. And so I go over to his house, and I got there a little bit late because I was at dinner with my grandparents. And I went there, and he opens the door, and he goes, hey, my mom wanted to talk to you, but I think she went to bed already. And so he went looking around, and he found her out back. She was actually smoking a cigarette. And so we went out there and talked to her. And a little background, she is like a second mother to me, right? And so they sit me down, and they begin to have this conversation with me. And I, like a good little boy, just sat there, smiled, waved, nodded, right? Essentially, this is how it started out. She said, I've known you for 7 years, and you're not happy. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, all you ever do is work. You're only driven by money, and you're obsessed with money. You need to get more practical goals and stop reaching so high, right? And so at this point, I'm a little confused, right? Because I'm not sure what she's trying to talk to me about, like where this conversation is going. And she goes, you need more perspective on the real world because it's going to be different out there.
Fuck.
Yeah, this is what she said. Yeah. And so I was really confused. And she says, you're obsessed with money. And I said, no, I'm not obsessed with money. And she goes, then why do you want to buy a Lamborghini? And I said, I want a Lamborghini because that's a goal of mine. I think exotic cars are beautiful. And you know, I want the car. And she goes, it's impractical to own a vehicle like that. And at this point, my friend, who I'm going to leave the names out of it because I'm not really in the business.
Smart. Yeah, you don't want to
absolutely.
name names.
I'm just trying to, I want to relay my story so that I can hopefully help someone through their stuff.
Call him Bob and her Sarah.
Yeah, Bob and Sarah, all right? So Bob chimes in on the conversation at this point. He goes, dude, if exotic cars were really your passion, you would go to trade school and become a mechanic for exotic cars. And I said, why would I do that when I can build some businesses and have enough money to buy several exotic cars and pay a mechanic to work on them, right? And it's just a difference in mindset. There's that right now to this point, the only skew in this conversation is that we have a different altering mindset, and there's no way I'm going to be able to turn them to my mindset. It's just not going to work that way.
Right, and vice versa. You got to remember when we talked about the personality types, your personality type would not do well as a fucking mechanic at all.
Absolutely not.
You have barely any functioning ability to use or more so focused in the metaphysical realm of ideas and building shit.
Yep, 100%. And so, and she says, you're obsessed with money and you're only driven by money. Money's never going to make you happy. And I said, well, let me explain this. I don't think that money's going to make me happy. I think that when I was 9 years old, I told myself I was going to buy an exotic car. So what I find happiness and fulfillment in is the pursuit of my goals. And
right.
maybe my goals are a little crazy, but that's, if they're crazy, that's for me to go
yeah,
after.
Who are they to tell you that you can't go after a crazy goal?
Exactly. And so I said, yeah, I have a passion for exotic cars, and I do not think money will make me happy. I think the quest of accomplishing my goal is what will make me happy.
Yeah.
And
Gary Vee says, Gary Vee talks about just that. Like Gary Vee, I think in one of his videos, I can't remember the title, he was talking about how he's just as happy now as he was when he was broke. Because his passion is in the business side of things and building shit. He loves that. He doesn't need the money. The money's just a byproduct because he genuinely enjoys that, which is why he also talks about how you need self-awareness because not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not all personality types are meant to be the leaders. It's okay to be a follower. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it depends depending on how your brain works.
Exactly. And so, dude, you're bringing up so many good points, and this isn't even, this is about to get even more crazy. So again, she says, you're working yourself to death, your goals aren't practical, and you aren't happy. And at this point, this triggered in my mind. I got a little light bulb, and it was very ironic. Do you know who David Mensler is?
Negative.
Okay, he's a highly successful entrepreneur. And so I had just earlier that day posted a video of David Mensler talking on my Instagram story, and it was about a 58-second video talking about, in entrepreneurship, if you set your happiness and fulfillment to a goal, and his example wasn't a Lamborghini, but for sakes of this conversation, I said, to the goal of a Lamborghini, if you set your happiness and fulfillment to that goal, you will never be happy because you'll never be able to muster up the strength and courage and energy and effort to get to that point. So you need to find happiness and fulfillment in the pursuit of your greater self, in the pursuit of being a better father, in the pursuit of being a better student, a better
the thing you become in the pursuing of that goal.
Absolutely. What you focus on, what you need to become, not what you need to get, right? And so 4 seconds into this video, he has just had the time to say, I find fulfillment in. That's all he said. And she interrupts and yells. She is 45 years old, okay? She says,
she's honestly, all she's doing is projecting all her own insecurities and her own belief systems.
You're going to like what I said because, you're on point, all right? She says, you're stuck in a trap and you keep falling for it. And so I paused the video and I said, I don't know what you mean. Can you explain that to me? And she goes, and when I said, can you explain that to me? She says, is he trying to sell you something? And I said, no, he's not trying to sell you something. He's just talking about a path to fulfillment, what makes him happy. And she goes, but he wants you to pay him to hear him speak, right? And I said, I would pay this man $2,000 to sit in a room with him and talk to him for 30 minutes. He's highly successful. That's how it works. It's it's a business. Yeah. And
she's just mad because you wouldn't pay her $2,000 to listen to her speak.
Yeah. And so at this point, I gave her a quote and I said, success, in my opinion, how I view it is success is never owned. It is rented and rent is due every day. It's by Rory Vaden.
I saw that post today on Instagram.
Dude, it's a good quote.
Yeah, it is.
And so she continues to yell and she's like, look, I don't need you to take any specific thing out of this statement. I'm just sharing my opinions with you. And then this is where I got in. And this is what you just said 35 seconds ago. You're going to love this, okay? And this is where I fucked up. For the audience that's listening to this, if you ever find yourself in a situation similar to this, don't do what I did because this is the fuck up. And it wasn't, in my perspective, my mind, it wasn't a fuck up, okay? I said, direct quote, I love you like another mom, like a second mom. And I'm super happy that this entire conversation is based on you looking out for what you believe to be my greater good. However, unfortunately, this entire circumstance, this whole conversation is predicated on you trying to pass your self-limiting beliefs onto me, and I'm not interested in that. Now, she was drunk, okay? She was drunk.
Damn it, Sarah.
To each their own, right? Sarah, come on, get your shit together. But it's fine. So, to each their own, I don't judge. But she gets up, and she puts her 2 fingers 2 inches away from my face and goes, fuck you for saying that to me. And then she gets up and walks in. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there like this. And so I tap what was his name? Peter or whatever? Bob. Yeah. I pat Bob on the back.
Pop Bob, baby.
Yeah. I pat him on the back and I say, hey man, I'm going to go home. And he gets angry and he goes, what? You don't want to hang out? And I said, dude, your mom just said something pretty offensive to me. And at this point, while he's following me now, we were in the backyard talking. I have gotten up. I have walked out. I've just diffused the situation and walked away because it's obvious to me that nothing is being accomplished with this conversation.
I don't think you did diffuse the situation. I'll talk about it more after, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so he's following me out of the house. I've now left. I'm on the front porch, and he's behind me, and he's yelling at me, and he says this, and this was where my head really just exploded. Okay, not out of anger, but just I was flabbergasted. He says, you don't have the right to be offended, because the only reason my mom said something offensive to you was because you offended her first. And I said, Bob, what I said was not meant to be offensive. The only reason she would take what I said as an offensive statement is if she's under the preconceived notion that a self-limiting belief is a bad thing. And he interrupts me and he goes, no, you just think you're better than us. And I said, absolutely not. I am not self-righteous at all. I think my perspective is a self-limiting belief, while it can be a bad thing, if you find happiness and fulfillment in your life, you don't have any complaints, congratulations. You've won the game of life, okay? I'm jealous of it. I happen to find happiness and fulfillment through the pursuit of my higher self. I do not expect everyone to find happiness and fulfillment through that. There are some people that are happy living their life, having a desk job, working at a call center, and making $17 an hour. That's fine by some people.
And there's some personality types that need to be a mother.
Yeah.
Which are they're nurturing by nature, and if they don't have a daughter or a son to actually nurture, they go insane. So it's all perspective.
Absolutely. And so now he gets mad at that statement, and he says, we're obviously having two different conversations. Goodbye. And he slams the front door in my face. And so I was like, okay. So I just drove home, and while I was driving home, I'm not going to lie, I was an emotional wreck. I was bawling my eyes out. I'm going to
talk to you about that in a second.
Yeah, for sure. I was hurt because I thought I was so convinced that I did something wrong. And now looking back over the circumstance, thinking from her perspective, I can understand why she would have taken offense to what I said. However, if she had simply said, hey, I'm offended by what you said, I could have apologized, not for what I said, but apologized for what I said being reflected in a negative light, followed by me explaining my perspective of why what I said was not meant to be an offensive statement. And so that's not what happened. And so, I was bawling my eyes out. I went home and I called one of my friends. She's actually also an entrepreneur. I'm going to leave her name out of it as well. But she knows these people, Bob and Sarah. And so she said, I don't mean to make your feelings sound invalidated, because you're perfectly in your right to be upset by that. That could be an upsetting circumstance. But this was 2 hours after this happened. She said, just by the way that you're discussing and talking about what you experienced, I'm super jealous of you, because it's obvious you've already gotten a lot of clarity from this circumstance. Because ultimately, the resolve that I came to was, if someone has a victim mentality, a halting mindset, no matter what you try, if you're telling someone information, right, no matter what it is about, if it's falling on deaf ears, it's going to go in one ear and out the other. And it's just, sometimes they're not even listening to understand. They're listening to respond. They don't really care about what you're saying, because it's not going to falter their perspective on the circumstance either way.
Right. It's Eckhart. Are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle's work?
I'm reading The Power of Now right now.
Oh, okay. Literally. Okay. Synchronicity. That's funny. His book, in The Power of Now, pay attention to the chapter on pain bodies. What it sounds like, and I've got to really, like, that's the chapter I'm working on. It seems like whatever I'm working on in my book, it seems like that's the conversation topics that I tend to bring up as of recently. But in the book, the pain body is in reference to like all the pain that people feel. And it holds an energy. It's obviously a negative energy. Absolutely. And that energy, when someone gets into an argument with someone, that energy tends to get transferred. So it sounds like she transferred it to you, and then you guys were kind of just bumping back and forth. A word of advice for you, for what you could have done better in that situation, in my opinion, is, and take this for the future, and for anybody else watching this as well, they can kind of take it for what it is. Instead of saying what you said about, this is your own limiting belief. Yeah. There's a quote in the Bible, and I'm not religious at all. I'm not Christian. I probably consider myself a Buddhist at this point. There's a quote in the Bible that says, do not cast pearls before swine. And the reason that quote exists is because it's in reference to not giving away information to people that are not going to be appreciative of that information, because it devalues that information. So you're better off not giving that information to them. Instead, what you should have done, and what you could do in the future if it ever comes up again to people that are not entrepreneurial by nature, is tell them they're right. You know, be like, hey man, I never even thought of that perspective. Thank you so much for that. And then you go on your way, and then that way you avoided and you really diffused the negativity, because now there's no that person feels good because they're like, wow, I was right, and then you feel good because you're like, I know I'm right secretly, but I'm going to keep that to myself because they're not going to be appreciative. Yeah. Obviously, it's like a balance you have to find, because you have to balance that together with actually sharing your information with some individuals, because you need to get outside perspective, because sometimes our brains can get kind of messy and we don't really have a full perspective on what it is that we're trying to grasp.
Yep, 100%. 100%.
And it's funny, I had the same situation happen to me with my uncle.
You've experienced something like this?
No, like identical, like literally word for word. My uncle, I was. This is when I first started getting into self development. I was talking to my uncle, and I was bringing up Tony Robbins, and he goes, "Man, all those books are a scam." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, this book is changing my life. Like, the way that my mindset is shifting towards a greater good, and it's incredible what's happening to me." He goes, "Nah, man, because what he does is he takes those $10 from 20,000 people, and now he's rich, and those 20,000 people got scammed." And I'm like, "How can you say that before you've even read the book?" He goes, "No, I know. I'm older than you. You don't know." And he belittles me and he's an ageist, as I call them. But ageist. I was like, whatever, man. Take it for what it is, and I accept it. I was like, I'm glad I'm far along in my path enough that doesn't influence me. Because if I was really, really new to it, I would be like, oh, damn, he's right. And if I was very like gullible and influential, or not influential, what's the word? Easily influenced, whatever the magic word for that is, I would have been like, damn, he's right. And I would have just dropped self-development, and I wouldn't be where I am now. So
100%. And if you feel comfortable, share a little bit about your journey in entrepreneurship and where you're at with that.
So I'm an ENTP, my personality type, and ENTPs tend to be very chaotic by nature, and we do very well in our chaos. Like, if you and me compared side by side the way that our days go out, you would be very structured and organized, and you make sure that most of the shit that you're trying to do gets done. I more so just have like a list of 3 things that I got to hit, and the rest of my day is filled up with whatever the fuck I want. Whatever pops into my brain, I'm going for it. It just so happens that naturally most of the things that I'm going for are productive, and I'm lucky in that way, but not always. There's days where I'll be like, if I'm kind of, depending on the way that my diet goes, I'll kind of drop down and I'll become like depressed in a way, and then I'll kind of have like that little cycle, and then I'll come back up and I'll have the roller coaster of life, that it's always the ups and downs, those kinds of things. So currently I was working on the CBD oil business, but I've moved away from that. I'm working on the book that I'm working on right now, and I don't know what else do you want to know.
I'm super excited to read that book, by the way, when you come out with it.
Thank you, bro.
for the audience, he's talking about the Myers Briggs personality type, and he's actually the one that introduced me to it. I took the test, and then they send you like an 11 to 14 page paper in your email. I read that whole paper word for word, and I was mind blown. I was literally like full body goosebumps, like chills, because I was kind of freaked out. Because I was reading this paper, and I felt like I was like Big Brother was like standing over my shoulder and like literally just like read into my brain, and then just like spewed me onto my personality, my traits, how I am onto a paper, and I was reading it. And so I cannot recommend enough that you go take the Myers Briggs personality test and learn about yourself, how your mind works. Because honestly, if you're trying to get anywhere in life, no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be entrepreneurship. But knowing and understanding how your individual brain functions, how you turn the gears, is going to help you so much in growing in any field.
Right.
Yeah. What else did I want to talk about? I could touch on my business trip a little bit.
How did that go? Did anything useful come out of that?
Super cool. I talked to Bo about what we just talked about, and he told me, dude, just from like what we're saying right now, like I can tell you have very high emotional intelligence, because that takes a lot of like strength to get past. And then he talked about me in front of all 200 students. He shared my example. He left the name out, but I looked over at the guy next to me and I was like, holy shit, he's talking about me. And so it was cool. I got at the trade show, first trade show I've ever went for my business. For anyone that is tuning into my channel, I'm an Amazon FBA seller. I'm in my first year. I'm actually starting my 11th month.
We probably should have started the video with that. With what we are.
Honestly, though, I respect the people that are all like watch through.
Still here.
I have a small little army of people that actually like watch my stuff, because there's one of two things. They're either waiting for me to fail, or they're really excited and they really believe in me and they're watching my pattern of growth, which like either or, I don't care, because if I do
the
end
former
up
is
failing,
actually more motivating, in my opinion.
it is 100% because like a lot of people that have a faulty mindset, they don't believe in the mission until they start seeing the material success. Like all of a sudden, once I buy a Lamborghini, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh shoot, I knew Jake way back." Like, and I know it's gonna happen. And like,
I was in his class. I knew him. We were best friends.
Yeah.
Drake, remember me? You got to give me something because I knew you.
Remember
that one time I told you I believed in you? You got to give me something.
Yeah. Yep. I forgot what I was talking about because my mind's all over.
Amazon FBA.
Yeah. So first year, I did 74K gross, which is not that much money because gross is like what I made entirely, and then the net is what you actually profited. I only profited 13 grand last year, which like that's not a big number, but it's my first year, and that's like, you know, it's a process, right? It's a scaling process.
Right. Not only that, you're not doing private labels, so it's expected for the profit margins your first year to not be as big since you're still learning the ropes of your kind of business model.
Yep, 100%. And so I'm content with that number, and I'm scaling it up. But I went to ASD. I got, dude, it was so crazy.
ASD?
Like, it's a I don't know what it stands for, but it's
Amazon.
No, it's nothing to do with Amazon. It's a wholesale. Okay. It's a wholesale event that a bunch of companies go to. Toy companies, electronic companies. There was an entire department just with CBD and like bongs and stuff, but like none of that stuff can be sold on Amazon. But it's like think about Comic-Con. Comic-Con is to nerds as ASD is to wholesale toy company or wholesale companies.
Okay.
And so I got in there, and it was held at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which is, if you didn't know, 3.2 million square feet. Absolutely huge, dude. I walked 7.5 miles the first day and 4.5 the second day. I probably.
Would you have a Fitbit or something?
My Apple Watch.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so random plug, and so.
This video is sponsored by Apple.
Yeah, right. I wish. And so yeah, I got more suppliers than I could even possibly handle with the amount of capital I have right now. But not to worry because, you know, I'll just build the relationship slowly and casually and get into bigger things. I also leveraged my personal credit. We could do a whole talk on credit that would last several hours because I love credit.
Yeah, credit's a very, very complex topic, so it's not something that you can. It makes sense why so many people have like hard times with finances, man.
100%.
It is so complex.
And so I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or boasting, but for 21 with a 785 credit score, I was in a very good position. I recently, while I was in Vegas, I got the incentive to go ahead and apply for several business cards. Well, personal cards that were credit cards that have 0% APR for terms anywhere between 12 and 18 months. So 0% APR. So it's basically a interest-free loan for that amount of time, right? Because I can just get that money snowballing and rolling in my business.
No, of course, yeah. That's easy. All that profit that you can make from the money that you borrowed.
Yep, 100%. And so that was 2 days ago that happened. I applied for 8 cards in total. I've gotten 4 approvals already and 4 pending. Of the 4 approvals, I've been approved for 18 grand. 0% APR.
Nice.
Yeah, 0% APR for anywhere ranging from 12 to 18 months. So
did you ever watch that video I sent you on the business loan, business credit?
Business. I watched a little bit of it. One of the things is that they want it to be 2 years in business. So that's going to be far out for me. And then with establishing a personal line, like a business line, phone number, I need to get a business phone, and right now, once I scale.
Well, no, actually, because I pay $4.95 a month for the one that I have, and it routes the calls to my regular phone. Then it's just $5 a month. Is it a separate
number that's just added to your phone?
Yeah, it's a 1-800. I have 1-800-490-5405.
Do you do that through your cell phone provider?
No, it's a website. I'll send you the website afterwards. Remind me, and I'll get that over to you.
Sure, that sounds awesome. Yeah, but so there's still some criteria with that, but also along with this. Once this 12 to 18 months is up, my business will have been in business for more than 2 years, and then I can start going down the path of straying away from my personal assets and into business alone.
Correct, right.
Which is cool because small business loans isn't small at all by what most people's frame of reference is small. Like they think $250,000.
Yeah, they think like 2,000 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, 250. They're just like, oh yeah, here you go. If you get approved, of course.
Yeah, and if you have lasting history with actual profits being made.
Yep, 100%. They're eager to give you money, 100%. And then I've been working on. I've been having a lot of struggles in my first year of entrepreneurship, and it's probably because I just jumped in it, like hit the wall.
Expected.
Yeah, 100%. I got screwed by a attorney that was just like not doing anything. Got a lot of threats from a lot of state departments. I've now gotten a great lady. She works her butt off, but it's the middle of tax season right now, so she's super busy. So she's slammed.
Yeah, that's actually a good video topic in itself, right there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like people that are in careers that they don't really have a passion for, that they just half-ass it and make it worse for everybody around them.
Dude, think about this, okay? You get a business, right? This is a hypothetical situation for you, for the audience. You're running a business, your first business. You get this CPA. You think they're great. You know, they do your taxes. They get you a 15K return, and you're so happy with them. So you go with them another year, and they get you an 18K return. And all of a sudden, they're in prison, and now the IRS is up your ass because they want to see every single piece of paper that you have anything to do with your business for the past however long it's been alive, because it turns out your accountant was not very good at his job. Well, maybe he was too good at his job, and he was using loopholes that weren't allowed. And so now he's in jail. And now if you knew anything about that, boom, you got collusion, and now you're in a lot of trouble. So
what happens? I wonder what happens if you don't know about it.
If you don't know, you don't get in legal trouble, but you are still on the ass for all the money. All the money that was the IRS's that they
make sure they get their money.
Oh, they're going to get it, and they're going to get it with interest. So, and if you're not in the place to give them that kind of money, they are going to be down you for that money. They are not giving up. They're getting their money.
Yeah, damn, it's crucial to have a good accountant then. I didn't know about that.
It's so powerful. The thing, not even just accountants, but anything in business. So many people overlook the fact that it's not just business. You are forging an interpersonal relationship with this person. That person that you're doing business with is another person. They have their own life. Just because they work a different, job, they're growing their business, and you're growing your business, and you guys are just helping float each other up, right?
Right.
And that gets overlooked very easily a lot. Bo talks about that. Dude, Bo offered me...
Botox.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Dude, I ran into Bo at ASD, and of course I had to make a smart-ass comment. I walked up to him. I was like, oh, fancy seeing you here. And he goes, oh, odd coincidence. Yeah, super funny. But
that's cool.
What else?
That's the circle you want to be around. You guys like Bo.
100%. You gotta manage to get yourself in a circumstance where you're the dumbest guy in the room, right? And because then you're in the right room, right? You've got people you can learn from. But in order to get around people like that, what people fail to realize is that there's a fine line between genuinely being interested in not necessarily mentorship, but like friendship and working closely with someone. And there's a fine line between that and just like clout farming and mooching. And you
want to have a symbiotic relationship with them.
100%. And from their perspective, like, what are you to them? Like to just think that, hey, like, take me on as your friend. Yeah, like they don't know that you're not just trying to use them. So it's all about, be genuine for first off.
Right.
Whatever you choose to do, and I don't tell everyone to go into entrepreneurship. I think you should try it. But if entrepreneurship's not your thing, no matter what you're doing, be good at it. And if you're not good at it, everyone that's an expert was once a novice. So work and get to the point where you are proficient in your skill.
But you got to remember what's easier. That guy's a professional, or actually going and learning. Because that guy wasn't, like you just said, that guy wasn't always a professional. That's why people label that person as a professional, and they say no, or he's just talented. He was born that way.
You want to know what's easier?
He didn't work his ass off.
Do you want to know what's easier? What? Going to college, getting a degree, going into debt, getting married, having kids, starting a family, getting a mortgage, getting an auto loan, working a desk job for 40 years, having a 401k and a pension. That's easy. What's not easy is forging your own path, mastering high income skills, and getting into it. Just being a practitioner of business, I guess.
Right.
And it's not impossible, guys. Like me and him, neither of us are special in any way. We've just become dedicated to a craft. That's it. That's all it is.
And we haven't even made it yet.
No.
At least by societal standards.
Yeah, we're both in the process of making it. And that's something that I stress on my social media. Oh, I could go on a rant for this. So many internet entrepreneurs, right? You see their Instagram feed and it's just Lamborghinis and like fancy mansions, fancy lifestyle. I'm fucking sorry, but 95% of those guys are faking everything.
You're generous. 95? I'd say like 99.888.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not going to lie. I put an Audi R8 on my Instagram all the time, but I've never once said that car
But you
is mine.
said it was your dad's.
It is my dad's. And
yeah, you said specifically it's my dad's car,
100%.
which is sexy as fuck, by the way.
It is beautiful. And, dude, I'm working on taking a girl on a date in it, and I'm going to make a YouTube video.
No, dude, don't do that, bro. Personally, I would advise against that.
Why?
I would advise you to get the shit. Go buy a $200 Corolla or something and pick her up in that, bro. You don't want a girl to be.
Put the wrong motor.
You don't want. Yeah, no, exactly. That's actually something that my mom told me when I was a kid. It's like you always want to take her to a cheap date first, and then you once they earn it, you give them a good date. But you never want to spoil a girl from right off the bat.
100%.
Sets off the bad expectations.
I can agree with that. Yeah, bad expectations for sure. Yeah, where was I going with all that? I
don't know. We got off on like 8 tangents.
We did. We can talk all day.
I think we're too far gone to retract to where we initially started.
We were.
We went FBA.
All right. How about this? So as far as my YouTube goals, I know you're building a YouTube audience as well. And I'm definitely going to put your info in the bio for sure for everyone.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually, while we're on the topic, I did a podcast on his page. It was the first podcast I ever did, and we talked about Amazon. We talked about the differences.
Talked about so much shit, bro.
Dude, we talked about a lot of stuff. It was great. Great. And so that's why I wanted to give you the opportunity to be my first guest on my podcast, which I'm not looking to start like a full-on podcast. You're not going
to be doing it one every day kind of thing.
Yeah. What I want to do is right now, my mission statement, quote unquote, on YouTube is I want to be able to provide value to someone that if I can just help one person follow their dreams, like spark an interest in someone's mind to like do something with their life that they want to do and find fulfillment in, I think that's a success to me. Ultimately, I'd like to move into the motovlogging space, and I've talked about it. But with where I'm at right now with my business, this is a full-time thing. I'm not going to sell my car and just buy a bike and start doing that because, one, it's not practical. Two, it's hot as shit outside, and it's just getting hotter because you live in Arizona. And then three, I don't have a third point, but you get the idea.
3, bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would take time away from my Amazon business. How am I supposed to run a business when I'm out filming motorcycle videos all the time?
Right, of course.
So there's that. I don't think I told you this yet. I'm moving to California for 3 months in like 2 weeks.
Damn, dude, awesome.
Dude, I'm gonna be doing a sales job out there selling solar panels door to door. And the thing is, I've never done a door to door job, never once. But one, I know I'm a good salesman. Two, a door to door sales.
Dude, solar panels aren't that hard to sell.
100%.
They pretty much sell themselves.
100%. And what's cool about this, door to door sales, the way I like to look at it, the perspective I take is if you've got a good product and it's something that actually genuinely helps the customer, you're not selling them anything. You're just convincing them of why they need it. And on top of that, if you've got a good product, really all you're doing is forging an interpersonal relationship with a stranger in 5 minutes. That's easy. I met you through Instagram. You DM'd me because you found me on Derek Struggle's page. Shout out Derek Struggle. Yeah. So who knows? Like, do something with your life.
Type shit, make moves. Even if it's a wrong move, at least you're making moves.
Yeah.
Even if in 3 months, if those 3 months you're like, wow, this is definitely not for me. At least you tried it. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of doing. A lot of people are stuck at home smoking weed all day, not actually doing anything because they're afraid. And I have empathy for them. It's tough, especially for our generation growing up. There's a famous quote from Fight Club that I really, really love. I can't remember exactly what it is, but one of the things that he talks about is how our generation doesn't really have a problem to overcome.
Exactly.
The world, society, obviously there's still problems in the world. Yeah, hopefully not. That would be nice. You saw what happened in New Zealand?
Yeah. Oh man.
That's crazy, man.
Oh man.
That shit. I saw the video, man. I saw like at 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep from how bad that shit was.
The thing is,
the video.
We live in a society nowadays where random acts of violence are perpetrated by just people that aren't mentally good. They're just not mentally good. And like, the thing is, a lot of people, there's a huge split, huge controversy, and I'm going to go there. Sorry. But there's a huge controversy, and it's split between people think it's gun control that's the problem. But I'm sorry, I like guns. And the only thing, the quote I love to go to, the only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
There's a good guy with a gun.
Yeah, like, what are you going to fucking flick the guy? If he's got an AR-15, the flick's not going to do anything.
What I don't like is the fact that instantly everyone went into identity politics and started pushing their own agendas.
And that's because it happened at a mosque, right?
Yeah.
That's why
they were saying that he was a Trump supporter and that because of that, Trump this and that, and that they should stop guns. I know for a fact if they ever come after my guns, I'm not giving them my guns.
No.
I genuinely, even if the American government ends up passing a policy that says we have to, I will refuse to give my guns. And it's scary because that can very easily cause a civil war.
100%.
Yeah. We're going to have guns people versus no guns people.
Dude,
but it makes no sense because when you think about it, no guns people don't have guns.
We're almost to that point with wall people and non-wall people.
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous.
It's sad, man. It really is sad. And it seems like most people, myself included, I fall into this trap a lot of times too. We're kind of regurgitating what we hear the people that we like say, and that's where it becomes a problem. Because people that are against it will repeat those things that they're hearing on CNN, and the people that are anti-gun. People that like guns are just regurgitating the facts that people that like guns say most of the time.
Absolutely. But the difference between you and me and what most people are is we actually go out, we do the research, we form our own opinions. We're what's sad, this is super sad, we are in a small percentage of people that are actually awake in today's society. And I mean awake as in like we're self-aware, like Gary Vee talks about a lot. We know what we want, what we are, and where we're going.
It's funny because we say that now, but wait till we're like 30. We're going to be like, we didn't know shit.
We're going to be like, we're stupid as hell, but we're moving in the right direction, though, is the thing.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's always better to be going forward slowly than not going anywhere at all.
I guarantee you're doing things that most kids aren't.
No,
and
100%.
It makes you a weirdo, but like I love being a weirdo.
I'm down to be a weirdo.
One of the biggest blessings that I have is
if I'm gonna have a Lamborghini in 3 years, I'll be weird. I'll be weird sitting in my Lamborghini.
Of course, absolutely.
Sure, but yeah.
You know what's crazy, bro? I want to share this with you actually, and then we can kind of wrap it up because we've been talking for a while. This story might actually resonate with you a lot. At my job, I work at the train station, and I remember there was a guy who came to my window not long. This was probably like a year ago, maybe, and I still to this day I remember that situation. He comes in to cash in his final check. He spent like 40 years in the company. And he's like, I finally hit the $1 million bracket.
1 million.
40 years of his life, and I finally hit the $1 million bracket.
I am impressed with that, though. That guy was living a very frugal life, and he had goals, and he went for it, and he made it happen. No.
I mean, like in regards to like his statement that says how much he's made with the company. $1 million.
Total.
He doesn't have $1 million.
Oh.
He made every check that he would get after 40 years or 30 something years. I don't remember the exact number. He finally hit $1 million in money that the company gave him pre-tax. Which is fucking, it's insane, man. Like, I saw them and I was like...
subtract 40%?
That's pretty much, man. Oh, God, it hurts, bro. It hurts. This guy gave his life for fucking $600,000, man. And I still remember, I don't think I'll ever forget that situation. That's one of the biggest things that, like, set the light bulb off for me. And I was like, yeah, I definitely got to do something different.
And you know what's really crazy to think about is, like, you and me in our circumstance, and even in people that are in lesser blessed circumstances than us, $600,000 sounds like a lot of money, But when you think about it, $600,000
it's nothing, man.
Not a lot of money.
Absolutely not.
That is pocket
if you have $600,000, you can make money from. If you're smart, you can turn that into more. But $600,000 in itself, outright, isn't shit.
No, nothing at all. Like I was going. Obviously, I was in Vegas, and I was just looking. Now that I have a different look on life and think about things differently, I was going down the strip, and I was just looking at all these buildings, and I was just thinking, oh my God, whoever owns these buildings is rich as fuck. It's like they're bringing in the money. Dude, the resort, okay, I stayed at a shitty hostel, right? Like no Wi-Fi, no TV. I was sleeping on a springboard mattress. I wasn't allowed to bathe in my tub because there was a sign that said I couldn't bathe because the water would go through to the bottom floor. Raunchy.
Right.
$50 a night, right? The resort that the conference was being hosted at, and by the way, I was there for 7 days. The resort, $250 a night. I saved myself $1,400 just by staying in somewhere that was a little less high end. And that $1,400 in my pocket is a lot more powerful than it is in a rich guy's pocket.
Yeah, of course. And you probably had just as good of a time as somebody that stayed in that resort.
100%. Even better time. I was hanging out with a bunch of random German girls. They were at the pool.
There you go.
They spoke very little English, but that's okay.
You don't need it.
You don't need to
The
speak.
language of love.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So I guess we can wrap it up there.
Yeah, 100%.
We went off on 55 tangents.
Yeah, we this has been probably longer than I expected the podcast to be. But if you stuck in throughout the whole thing, I hope we talked about something that not only sparked your interest, but might have triggered something in your head to make you think about something. But yeah, drop a like, maybe drop a sub, and check out his account. He's super lit, and yeah, we'll close it out there.
Super lit, bro. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.